know that it is a crazy time of year. I know with holidays and coming to the end of the year, and a lot of you live in areas where maybe weather is crazy, wins to be had. I know a lot of clients are still winning, having a busy winter season, and so would love it if anybody could share a win. We celebrate them whether they're small or large. So just unmute. We'd love to hear what's good, what's happening.
I got one for the group since I just did our finances yesterday. Real happy. Our refinishing sales were up for the month of November, 43.7% over last year, which is just phenomenal. Our slow time, and this year it was definitely not our slow time, so it was great.
Come on.
That is huge. Yeah, I think what I love the most about those kind of wins, Bob, is that you've been working with us for a few years now. I think like 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
And it's cool to see that, a lot of people experience these awesome wins, great growth early on in our program. But I love hearing stories like that because it shows that if you just remain consistent, if you just put your head down and do the things and keep on showing up, you are going to continue to see growth. There's a client of mine, when they started with us about 3 or 4 years ago, they were at $2.5 million and they're doing like 90,000 in profits, which is like a terrible margin. And this year they exceeded 5 million with a 17% net profit every year. Last year they were at 4.2 with 11% net profit. This year they're about almost 5.1 with a 17% net profit. And they're no smarter than anyone else. They're no better than anyone else. Like they've got no, sort of special attribute about them or their business. They just have remained consistent. So that's awesome. Yeah, we really love working with you guys. Anyone else? Does anyone else have a burning win, burning fire? I know it's asking a lot, a room of 36 business owners who's winning in life. But is there anyone else that has like some hot thing that they want to share that's going on? Okay, well, I would love for everyone here to one day try like being in front of like 30 some odd people and then asking a question and just sitting in silence. It's just like everyone's microphones are muted.
I'll help you out.
Oh, my man, thank you.
We set a goal. We're a brand new company, and we set a goal a couple months ago to hit 100 5-star reviews before the end of the year, and we hit that on the 30th of November.
That is
and
awesome.
So that's a super win. Win for us.
Come on. Yeah, Jonathan shared that with our whole team yesterday, and we actually posted about it on our Facebook. I don't know if you saw our Facebook page, Scott, but we blasted that out there because we wanted to celebrate with you, and that's an achievement, man. You're beating the goal, so let's keep that momentum. So, all right, well, I appreciate everyone for being here today. I blasted out an email. And I was like, hey, I feel like I've got something I want to share with people. It may be a little bit different, but I think it's going to benefit everyone. And I think it could lead to everyone who's listening having their best year in 2024 seriously. And so, okay. So yeah, what I'm going to talk about today is make 2024 count, actually count. But really a lot of the things I want to share is how to make your whole life count. And this talk came to me. This is a little bit different than how I do things, how we do things. And that I just want to be really vulnerable. I want to share part of my story. Something that I think most people would try to hide. I just want to be open with. And the reason why I felt like we should talk about this today is because, like, usually towards the end of the year, like at Redmond Growth with our clients, we do planning exercises, we make goals, we get all excited and pumped up and let's do it. But it seems like every year, like slowly as the year begins, people get really busy, people get like overworked, like people have to deal with life's problems. And it's like those goals that we had all this clarity and all this like excitement about, we just begin to lose sight of it. And then like I realized in my own life how I lived this way for such a long time, and really lived in a life of like frustration and depression and chaos. But I realized those things that allowed me to get out of living in that cycle. And so I don't know if anything I'm going to talk about today is going to be super new, right? It's stuff that you've probably heard before. But I feel like year in and year out, we see a bunch of entrepreneurs and business owners, do the whole goal setting thing, but like not a lot changes about their lives or about their business. And I want to help our clients. I want to help you guys really make this like the best year of your lives. I really want to like our people, I really want our clients to have like hope and I really want them to have faith that they still can build the business and become the people that they have always wanted. And I want to be real honest about what that requires. I want to be really honest with how to actually get there. So I want to start by asking everyone 3 questions. And, if you're just listening, driving, if you're in the field, whatever, that's fine. But if you're in a spot where you can, I want you to write these questions down. And I want you to maybe even think about posting them somewhere where you can be reminded of them on a daily basis, maybe on a computer, a bathroom mirror, whatever. Who do I really want to be? What kind of business do I really want to have? And what do I really want to make of my life? These are going to kind of be the 3 questions that like cascade the whole talk I want to give today. Who do I really want to be? What kind of business do I really want to have? And what do I really want to make of my life? So I mentioned earlier that it seems like, we do this big excitement thing, right, at the end of the year, and then like nothing really changes, right? Or maybe we see like a little incremental growth, but then like maybe things go back, or it's like we get stuck. And I feel like I've identified a cycle that I like to call the problem pattern, right? The problem pattern basically looks like we start by getting really motivated. Okay, this can often happen at the beginning or end of the year, right? We set all kinds of goals, right? We dream up the life that we're going to live. We like get the New Year's resolutions and like we say like, okay, I know New Year's resolutions is corny, but like I actually want to do something new this year, So we get all excited, we get all motivated, we get these goals. And then we often earnestly pursue them. Like I don't think most people just like set a bunch of goals and then like check out. We earnestly pursue them, but very quickly we get overwhelmed, we get overworked, and we get out of focus, right? And then when this pattern is unaddressed, when we keep on going through the cycle year after year after year after year, it continues through our whole entire life, which ends up creating more bitterness. It ends up creating more resentment. It ends up creating more unhappiness and more problems. This happens because we know where we want to get in life. We have that clarity and we really believe in it. But then all sorts of BS happens. It could be we get busy. It could be life happens. Tragedies happen. It could be that we just become overwhelmed with stuff. It could be we get checked out. We lose our focus. all kinds of stuff happens. And slowly over time, it's like this internal bitterness grows. It's like resentment, this like unhappiness, which continues to lead to more problems. And the things that keep us stuck in that problem pattern are things like telling ourselves victim stories. Life is unfair. If I was in that person's shoes, I would be doing better too. I just can't work with this. You know, I'm too busy to do the things that will help me. I'm too busy to do the things that these guys are asking me to do. They just don't understand my situation. Okay? We're telling ourselves a victim story. Woe is me. I'm special. I want to stay stuck in where I'm at, and here's all the reasons why, and no one can get me out of it, right? Or we might blame others for our problems. You know, if they would have never done this, I would never be in the same situation. You know, they hurt me and that was wrong. You know, it's their fault. This employee just doesn't get it right. I just can't rely on them. You know, if they wouldn't have done this, you know, I wouldn't be here, right? We blame everyone else for our problems. Or we might cope with our distress, our frustration, our resentment in unhealthy ways. Like, let's be honest, this could look like heavy drinking. This could look like overeating. It could look like, you know, over Netflixing, right? Sometimes like these coping mechanisms, it's like we feel like we need them so much, and there's a part of us that do, because it honestly keeps us in the game for a time, but it slowly begins to eat at us and destroy us and cripple us. You know, maybe we're living with a heart of war at the world, right? Maybe we're ready to react. Maybe the smallest things will set us off. We demand control over everything and everyone. You know, people walk on eggshells around us because if they cross that line, we're going to react and we're going to be strong in our emotion. And we go through life making sure everyone gets real scared and listens to us, right? I'm going to be angry. Or we may check out and stop caring. You know, we get so overwhelmed that we give up, and then we become an absent father, absent parent, absent partner, absent husband, absent wife, absent boss to our employees. You know, we just kind of, this is too hard, and we might not even notice it, but we just kind of check out, you know. Or if you're like me, you may even self-sabotage your own growth. It's like once you start making progress and things start becoming good, you've been living in the problem pattern for so long that it almost becomes uncomfortable when good stuff starts happening. So you revert back to your old ways and you subconsciously create chaos because like you've been living in a state of adrenaline for so long, or like when things are messy and disorganized and overwhelming, it actually may be like a little bit exciting, you know, which then allows us to continue to be victims. It allows us to continue to say, hey, like, this is like, you don't understand, like my situation's different, or this isn't going to work for me, or my business is special, whatever, right? And so all of that stuff can keep us stuck in this problem pattern. And I want you guys to reflect. I'm not going to ask you guys to share out loud. I do want some participation, you know, during this thing. I just want everyone to reflect. And if you're taking notes, maybe write something down. Do you notice any of these things in your own life? If you get really honest and you remove the ego BS of you being a perfect person and all that, like if we get really honest, can we look at our lives and say, I kind of noticed that. I kind of see that one of those things there, or a couple of those things there, you know? Does anyone want to share what they're doing so wrong in life, by the way? No, I'm just kidding. Sorry. So I want to go, I want to tell you guys my story, right? Uh-oh. Let's see here. Let me move this up. Well, kind of got disordered there. Okay, my story. So, like many of you know, I own Redmond Growth with my dad, you know, and my dad is a heck of a guy. He's overcome all sorts of adversity. He's had a lot of success over his life. My parents have stayed married my whole entire life. They sent us to great schools. They made sure we were in church every day. They kept us safe. There was always food on the table. Like, I grew up in an incredible family, and I was given all the resources, all the mentors, and all the opportunities that one could ask for, right? My former boss, when I got my first job right after school, like, he used this comparison or this example where it was like, some people in life start on first base and they have to go like 3 other bases to make it home. They have to go through so much, they have to overcome so much. And like, some people are born on third base, where all they have to do is walk home. And it's like that easy. I was a born on third base person, right? I had everything that I ever needed. But I got stuck in this problem pattern. I was a guy who had all these hopes and dreams and vision, and I want to achieve things in life and all these different things, where I kept on not following through with it. I kept on not honoring it. I kept on not working for it. I kept on getting distracted. I kept on getting reactive. I kept on, whatever it was in those problem patterns, I was stuck in it. I thought I was a victim. I was blaming everyone else. And that had its consequences, right? So before the age of 30, I got a divorce. And that was something that I didn't want. It happened to me by surprise at the time. Looking back, it was obvious it was going to happen. But before the age of 30, I was divorced. I was an alcoholic. I was drinking excessively. That's what I was. I was an alcoholic. I was unhealthy, and I had precancerous organs. And what I mean by that is that when I was 28, I kept on having this like real pain in my stomach and in my esophagus. And I go into a gastroenterologist here in town, and they do an endoscopy where they put a camera down my throat. And I wake up from the procedure, and the doctor sits there and he's like, "You have some real serious inflammation in your esophagus and leading into your stomach." And I said, "Well, how serious is it?" And he looked at me when I was 28 years old, and he says, You're precancerous. This is the stage before cancer." And after he told me that, I did not change a single thing about my life. I just kept on saying, well, I don't have cancer yet. Like some BS, like made up thing. I can keep living the way I was. I was stuck in this problem pattern. I couldn't manage my emotions. I was perpetually reactive. If a team member or if someone else in my life said something or did something that I thought was wrong, I'd have these big blow-ups. I thought I needed to show them that I'm tough. I'm in charge. When in reality, everyone was afraid to talk to me. I was destroying relationships. I was hurting other people, and I was destroying myself in the process. After a lot of this happened, I lost a lot of close friends. I was publicly criticized. There was a lot of things that was said about me that I thought was unfair, but was being said, about how I lived and how I treated people. And it really hurt my reputation for a time. People were like, "Oh, you got to watch out for that guy. Like he's no good," All the while on the inside, I was severely depressed. I was anxious, and I lived with so much shame. That's what was driving a lot of this behavior, because I wasn't living within the clarity, within the person I wanted to be. I wasn't doing the things that allowed me to be that person. I wasn't growing the business that I really wanted to have. I was living in someone else's idea of a business. I didn't really know what I wanted for my life, and I just over time, got stuck in this problem pattern, and that was the outcome. And unfortunately, the reality is that if you're recognizing some of this, if some of this is resonating with you, I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's not going to be good, and it's going to probably look like something like this, right? And I don't mean to like make this negative confession over anyone. I earnestly am here because I want to help people, but I also want to be real honest about the way things work. If we do not do things differently, then our future is one where there's going to be a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of frustration, and we're going to end up being miserable, right? And hurting everyone else in the process. And so I had all these things happen to me, right? Like really serious things, really terrible things. But you know who was to blame for all of this? Me. That's right. That is what Robert Redmond used to look like, baby. You know, that is called living in the problem pattern. I was unhealthy. I was just living in impulse. And there was absolutely no one else to blame for my problems with drinking, for my divorce, for my emotional issues, for the way that I was destroying relationships. Even though I was blaming everyone else, I was the only person who was responsible for all of that happening. And it was tough, but I had to accept that, you know? And so me accepting that and me recognizing that was the first step in living a life where I'm able to make it count. And so what I want to go over now is or kind of wrap up this point. Life may have been unfair, tough, wrong, or evil to you. It may have been bad, right? It may have done awful things to you that you did not deserve. Your business may not be in a place that you want it to be, right? It may not be fair. But the question that I have for you is, who do you want to be? What kind of business do you really want? What do you really want to make of your life? And now, how will you respond in the face of those things? What will you do next? I had to learn how to make it count. And it was hard, and it didn't happen overnight, and it's still happening and will happen for the rest of my life. But there's a few real key things I learned that I didn't know before that set me on the path to living a life of making it count. First thing is this: radical acceptance. How many of you here are totally happy with your life and business to the point where you never want to change? Like, is there anyone here? It's okay if you are. I know Jonathan Root is that person. He never wants anything to change in his life. No, I'm just kidding.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, good. You get a gold star. Right. Changes are necessary. Yeah. Most of us are probably not in a spot where we're totally happy, where we want to change. You guys are part of Redmond Growth, which means you're growth people, right? It means you want to grow. It means you want to continue to go further with your life and business than you're at right now. And so the first step in getting to that place where you really want to be is completely accepting where you are right now. Completely accept where you are at in life and business. Own it, recognize it, call it what it is, stop resisting it, accept that what is happening in your life and in your business right now is what's happening. Let's not distort it here, okay? This isn't easy, right? This can be difficult. It can be a tough pill to swallow, but it's necessary in order to make a turning point in your life. I remember where my key turning point started. I was in a mental health and depression treatment facility. You know, after the divorce happened, I was at a very, very low spot. I had to go away for 30 days in Seattle, Washington, and I had to get some serious help because I was in a bad spot. And I remember my first 10 days at this facility, like it was dark. I wasn't really listening. I wasn't really paying attention. Like people were trying to help me. I was meeting with like different counselors and things like that. And I was like, I had given up. I was like, you know, I was the first person in my family, on both sides of my family, to actually like get a divorce. You know, I had one uncle where it happened to, but his wife cheated on him. Like my ex-wife didn't do that. Like I was the first person who, like, there was a lot of shame in that. I was low. And I remember I was in a class and someone taught me about this concept of radical acceptance, where they said, your life is what it is right now, and it couldn't have been any other way, because if it could have been any other way, it would be another way. But it is what it is right now. And if you are continuing to look back and saying, I wish this was different, this shouldn't have happened to me, I can't believe I did this. If you look back at your life and resist what actually happened, if you look at your life now and resisting the reality of your life now, you will never heal and you will never grow. And so they had us do this thing where I literally later that night looked outside. I went outside, looked up at the sky, looked up at the stars, and I literally opened my hands up to like the world. And I just said, yes. I just said, yes. Yes, this is what it is. Yes, my life is here. And the moment that I began to do that, I entered into a new stage of liberation, and I've been on a path of growth ever since. You can never actually grow until you fully accept where you're at right now. And this is kind of like just logically true, understandable. How can you grow to a place unless you know where you're at, where you can identify the areas of growth that you need and what you need to grow towards? If we're, for example, thinking that like we're really good at sales, but like our closing rate sucks, like that's not accept. Like let's accept we're not good at this. You know, if we really feel like we should be getting more leads and we're investing in all this marketing, right? And we're not getting the lead volume we want, like maybe we need to say like, oh, maybe our brand isn't that great. Maybe we need to make some adjustments. Like maybe in your life, if you are continually frustrated, if you're continually overwhelmed, if you're continually stressed, maybe it might be accepting like, I live in a state of perpetual chaos and this isn't changing. Like I am creating this chaos in my life. While it is hard to do, it is the first step of growth to radically accept where you're at right now. It requires rigorous honesty. You can fool yourself. It's so easy to be self-deceptive because we're so wanting to protect our lives and we're so afraid of admitting where we're wrong. It requires rigorous honesty, and the acceptance is uncomfortable, but it allows you to truly grow. And this doesn't mean you have to like where you're at, okay? You could be unhappy where you're at. You don't have to approve of where you're at. You don't have to just give up on your current situation. It does not mean that you're saying, this chaos I'm living in is good and I accept it. No, it's just saying, hey, I'm living in chaos. Hey, I'm not consistent. Hey, I'm not disciplined. I don't wake up and plan my day. I don't get back to people well because I just don't want to. Like whatever that may be, fully accept what it is right now. You don't have to like it. This gives you eyes to see what is actually happening instead of ignoring or avoiding the real problems and pretending like they're not there. Again, it's the necessary step for growth. When you give yourself the eyes to see what's really going on, when you take a step towards acceptance, it empowers you to really then do something about it. It allows you then to really make that adjustment. It allows you to really clearly see what's going on. Stop resisting it, accept it, and grow from it, you know? And like I mentioned in my story earlier, if you could be somewhere else or someone else, you would be somewhere else or someone else. I remember for years, I would look back at my life and like regret this thing or that thing, or like I should have known then, or should have known better, or like this shouldn't have happened to me, or they were wrong to me, or they unfair to me. You can say that now, but you didn't know that then. You literally made the best decisions you could as you've been moving through life. And during the times you could have been aware that there were better decisions to make, you could have said, well, Robert, like, I knew that there was a better decision to make, but I just did this and this cost me this. You could have known it, but you didn't really know it. You didn't know it like you do now. Otherwise, you would have actually done something differently then. If it could be somewhere else, if you could be somewhere else or someone else, you would be somewhere else or someone else. I do think it's important to be grateful for the journey that brought you this far. If you're on this call, you're alive. If you're on this call, you have a business. If you're on this call, you're wanting to make something of yourself, of your business, of your life. Be grateful of the position that you're in. Your life didn't just take you to total chaos and there's no value in it. Be grateful for where you're at. Be grateful for the people in your life. But I think it's important to ask, what have you been resisting? The things that you wish are different, or say that isn't a problem that is, think to yourself, maybe write it down. What do I need to accept that I've been resistant towards? It could be in your personal life, it could be in your business. What do I need to accept? Right? So radical acceptance, this is the turning point. And then we enter into moments of clarity, right? After we accept where life has brought us and where we are at now, we can get really clear about where we're going next, right? We accept where life is, and now we want to say, I want to have a clear picture of where I'm going next. There are certain moments in your life where the answers to those three questions are clear. Like maybe I went over those three questions and you already have, maybe you couldn't put it into words. Maybe you could. But when I went over those three questions, you may have already had an impression of what the answers to those questions were, right? Typically, we know what to do next, even when we're living in chaos and in the problem pattern, right? We know what to do next. And we may have more clarity, but that clarity can get muddled. You know, like we do have more clarity sometimes more than we do at other times, right? And so what we want to do, and when I say clarity, I'm talking about like change that to like clarity of a vision. You know, we're talking about goals. We're talking about who we want to become, where we want to go in life. It's the clear destination. It's a clear image of who we believe we're called to be, what business we believe we want to make, all that stuff. We're talking about the same thing here, right? And these things, it can come from anywhere at any time. You know, a lot of times it comes at the end of the year. At other times, it could just be like you had a frustrating moment in your life and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And like it becomes really clear where you want to go. Maybe you could be like excited, like you had some big success and you're like, I want more of this. So it can come from any time and anywhere, but what are those moments of clarity where your vision and where your goals become perfectly clear, right? Clarity in those moments reveal the thing that you need to move towards, right? You probably already know and have known what that is. If you started a business, you had a moment of clarity at some point in your life, right? I said, I don't want to do the easy, secure, risk-free thing called getting a job. I want to do the risky, the it's all on me, the I have no guarantee thing called starting a business, right? You probably know what your clarity is. And only you can know what it is, because if you can't see it, you ain't doing it, right? If you can't see it, or someone else is trying to tell you what the vision of your life is, what your goal should be, like you could even in a moment buy into it, but like if you can't truly see it in here, if it's not like lighting a flame, if it's not bringing you inspiration, if it's not, coming from within, you ain't going to do it, right? It's okay to be inspired by others. Others can absolutely help you define your clarity, but it has to come from within. Only you can know it fully. One of my favorite quotes from a guy named Kanye West, who's kind of a controversial figure here. You know, not going to ask for anyone's opinions on him, but I do like what he said here. He said that you have to know who you are before you can become it. Get clear on who you want to be, on what business you want to have, on the type of life you want to live before you can have those things, right? I want to tell a story. During the season of my life, I read a book by a guy named Viktor Frankl. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. This is Viktor Frankl right here. Maybe you've heard of Man's Search for Meaning. It's a fairly popular book. But to give you the short story of this guy, he wrote this book called Man's Search for Meaning. Over 16 million copies sold. It's a very powerful book. Would highly recommend everyone here to read it. But Victor was a doctor. He was a psychiatrist in Austria during the 1930s and the 1940s. And he was also Jewish. And living in Austria as a Jew in the 1930s and 1940s, we kind of know what happened there, right? His whole entire family was taken away to concentration camps. He was moved to Auschwitz in Poland, which I've had the privilege of being able to go to Auschwitz once before. And it is just a tragic place to this day, a very dark, a very somber place. He lost his parents. He lost his wife. He lost all of his kids, right? Everything was stripped away from his own life as well, to the point where he lost his hair. He lost every possession he ever owned because they shaved his head. He even lost his name. He was just given a number. In the midst of the greatest tragedy that one could experience, people that he knew in the concentration camp were dying every day. Bodies were filling up. People were going into these gas chambers, children, women, entire family gone, children gone. Like, imagine going through that. Imagine actually living through that. You don't have a name. You don't have an identity. All you have is you. You're just there. And what he asked himself during all this is, does man have purpose in the face of such tragedy? When everything is going wrong, when everything is as dark, when evil manifests in its fullest form against me, do I still have meaning? Do I still have purpose? And that's what this book is about. This book is about how he found meaning and purpose living in this hell. And one of the biggest things that he found, I want to share with you here, is he found that every person on the planet has a unique purpose that only they can serve. And if we can hang on to that why, if we can hang on to that clarity, if we can hang on to that purpose, that will get us through the greatest horrors that life could ever throw at us. Because we believe that our life has something to contribute uniquely, and that comes from within. So what is that thing for you? I want to ask you, does anyone here have a moment of clarity that they feel like, hey, that they would want to share? Maybe one person that want to share a moment of clarity where you had a moment and you said, this is what I want to build, this is who I want to be. Does anyone have the willingness or courage to share that?
Yeah, for me, I would say one of my largest moments of clarity was having my first child. And I think that is a moment that I think a lot of people can identify with. Finding what your purpose is, and being a parent, I think, can really drive you also.
Yeah. So Kenneth, can you tell me more about what changed? Like where was your head at before? And then what did the moment of clarity show you about what you wanted out of life, what you wanted to be? I mean, it's kind of a personal question, but are you willing to share?
Yeah, I'd say I was focused and driven before, had goals, right? But it just, like you say, moments of clarity come and you will get off them, right? But it's about refocusing a lot of times and finding your vision and refocusing on who you are and what you're trying to accomplish and why you want to get there. You have to have your why, right?
Right.
That's the main thing. What is your why?
That's exactly right. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, the moment of clarity can come at different times. You know, it can often come during one of the most beautiful moments of your life. It can come during a tragedy. The important thing here is recognizing what that moment showed you and then commit to your clarity. Because like Kenneth just said, all sorts of stuff in life can happen to throw you off course. I don't have any children right now, but I've been a child. And I know that while my parents really loved me, and when I was born, they felt this tremendous, overwhelming sense of love, I knew that I really drive them crazy sometimes. And I probably threw off their clarity of what they wanted to be as a parent, right? Because I was so insufferable at times as a kid, you know? So we've got to have a firm and steadfast commitment to this clarity. And when you leave today, after we hang up in just a few minutes and get off this call, there's going to be all sorts of stuff that immediately is thrown in your face to take your time, to take your attention away from this clarity. It will happen from the moment we hang up. Maybe it's happening during this call. You got emails, calls coming in, you know, whatever. Like there's going to be all sorts of stuff to take you away from your clarity, right? The world will always put forces in your life to distort your clarity. And that's not like, it's not like necessarily like the world is against me. It's just like, there's a lot of stuff going around. Like before we got here, there was a lot of stuff going on, like on the earth, like way before we ever got here. And then when we pass away, there's going to be a lot of stuff going on after, right? There's just a lot of forces at play. There's all, people have their agendas, you know, there's weather, there's, you know, everything, there's governments. It's like all this stuff is just happening. We're just kind of hearing it. You know, all that stuff is going to take away our focus. But things that we think are important that keep us in the problem pattern are things like this, right? Things that we elevate. You know, I'm extremely busy. I don't have time. This is something that I said a lot. If that's what you're telling yourself, that's taking you away from your moments of clarity, that's taking you away from your vision, your goals, and all that, create space and make time. Something that I had to start doing recently is because like all my time was being filled with like you know, meeting with clients and like helping support the team and doing these different things. I wasn't getting stuff done that needed to be done for our business, Redmond Growth. And so what I started to do is I started to block out big chunks. I just was like, I need to create time. I reorganized my schedule. I had team members step up and take over responsibilities. I had empowered people to lead things or just gave them permission to lead. You know, I had to create space and time. You know, stop telling us that, please. Like honestly, like you can create space and time. I know it's tough. I know it's hard, but if you want to, you can find a way to get it done. It may require tough decisions, canceling things, reorganizing things, leaning on people more, but you can create space and time. You know, another thing, well, if I don't keep on doing A, B, C, then I'm going to lose X, Y, Z. Robert, if I don't call every single customer all the time, every day, I may lose one customer. And I can't never do that. I understand we don't want to lose customers here, right? But maybe we could create a solution that turns a temporary loss into a forever gain. Hey, what would I need to do to invest, to train, to develop someone, to be able to handle this like I'm handling it? Like what would that really take? It may be hard or difficult, you know, but would I need a script? Would I need to have them shadow me? Would I need to invest in them? Like create a solution. Stop telling yourself that. You know, I'm not naturally good at that. You know, that doesn't come easy for me. You can just learn it. Everyone had to learn it. Something that my dad said to someone that used to work with us who said this to him. He said, did God bless you with brilliance, or did he make you kind of dumb? You know, it's like all you guys have this incredible organ called a brain, right? And if you apply it, it will work for you. And it may be tough and you may be frustrated, but stop saying that I'm not naturally good at that when you can just learn it. I'm not naturally good at like software systems, right? But I've had to learn stuff like that. You know, I've just had to go out there and make mistakes and learn it. You can develop yourself. I just don't want to. You know, this I think is a more common reason than we admit. I just don't want to. That's okay. You know, you can stay where you're at, right? And we got to be real honest. We've all made it this far, and we're okay with where we're at. Let me kind of explain. We may not like where we're at. We may want to change where we're at, but everyone's okay. Like everyone has food to eat for the most part. If you don't, please let us know. We will help you. But like we made it to a spot where we could invest in a program like Redmond Growth, right? Like the thing is, like we've learned to get by where we're at. Like things are okay with where we're at, right? Sometimes we just don't want to, and because the pain of changing is like, I have subconsciously learned I can get by where I'm at right now. You know, it's working to some degree. I want to indulge in comfort because I just like, that's hard. You know, like, let's be honest, that takes us away from our clarity. You probably have already known and have known what that is. Did I already cover this? I think I already covered this. Okay. At the end of the day, commitment is hard, right? It is typically so hard that you don't do it. It's typically so hard that you go further off course. It's typically so hard that you stay more miserable. Committing to your clarity is hard, right? You have a moment of motivation, then it gets hard again. But by accepting where you're at and committing to the clarity, the course becomes more clear and more clear. I want to give an example. So this is the SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket, right? SpaceX launched a rocket. Up here, there are people. There's a little crew up there. They're going to the International Space Station in space, right? So this rocket is flying from Los Angeles, California to space. And not just to space, they specifically need to get to the space station that's orbiting around the world at like hundreds of miles an hour, you know? And when they shoot this rocket ship up towards a space station, they don't spend as much time in the beginning as they do right at the end when they're lining things up, like right here, right? So it takes off from Los Angeles and it's like going in a direction up towards space. And it's not real concern at that time to make micro movements and micro adjustments. And like from the launch pad, we have to go right to the space station and immediately insert. No, what happens? When they get closer and closer to the space station, when they get closer and closer to their goal, their destination, they go really slow, right? It takes a long time. Those last 5 feet, 2 degrees left, one degree, you know, everything's on target. The whole thing's lined up, you know. It doesn't take all of that when they're taking off. Because when you're on this long journey, you can adjust along the way, right? It's not until you get to those final things that the adjustments are refined and become more subtle. And so you may not see from the very beginning the exact place where you're going to end up, and this is the role I'm going to have, the person I'm going to be, and money I'm going to make, and business I'm going to have. But you can get clarity on where you would like to go and start moving there, making the micro adjustments as you go, right? How do you do that? Taking action. It's all about daily habits. It's all about not saying that I want to get to this place eventually and not doing anything about it today. It requires doing something about it today, literally today, to get to that place that you want to go. It requires taking action on a daily basis that allow you to get there. And this can typically be small things. It can be maybe 4 or 5 things a day that take 15 minutes, right? In your life, in your business. But it's like those small things, those baby steps over time, over consistency, that allow you to become the person that you want to be and get to the place that you want to get to. The skills that you got to now in your business are not the skills that will take you to where you want to go. We need to continue to develop ourselves. We need to continue to take action. What small habits can you add to your daily life that will move you closer to your clarity? Again, you may already know those. Write maybe some of them down. You may be thinking of them. Gosh, I know I needed to be doing this. Or gosh, I know, Bryce or Nicole, they've been telling me this, right? I know I need to do this, start doing this. It's typically small things that take a few minutes. What are those things? Write them down. What problems have you been resisting that you need to move towards? What are you actually doing that will lead you to different results? Okay. This is never easy, right? But by taking action and getting these daily habits, you'll move closer to your goal. So I just want to do a real quick summary on everything that we've covered today. Totally accept where you're at and all the messiness it took to get there. Stop resisting it. Accept where you are right now. Take complete ownership of moving your business and life forward. It's not anyone else's fault that you're not at the place that you want to get to, but yours. And you are solely responsible for getting yourself there. That's a fact of life for myself and every single other person in this room. Take complete ownership. Get clear on where you want to head and who you need to be to get there. Journal it, write it down, develop it for every day. What's that clarity? What's that clarity? Look back at that moment. When you had your child, when you had that big success in business, where you got fed up with life being a certain way, and you're like, I know what I need to do. Cultivate that vision, nurture it, commit to the clarity, knowing that your lower self won't feel like it or want to. There will be a part of you that will want to keep you where you're at and say, life is okay here. I've been able to make it by, and changing and growing is hard, right? Commit to that clarity by taking action every day. Don't worry about, hey, I've got to sell the big job, on this day, and then I'll get there. It's like, what do I need to do today to do that? What do I need to do now to develop myself to do that? What opportunities do I have before me now? We're here to help. Redmond Growth can be your rocket fuel. Our stuff really works. Like it will always work. Our systems, our marketing, our processes, our coaching, it really works if you take this kind of responsibility to make it work. Your coaches are here to help you further cultivate and gain this clarity, right? We're here to help you refine that. We're here to help you recognize that. It has to come from you, but we can help you. We will hold you accountable. Life is going to throw all sorts of stuff your way, and you have us here that has a meeting with you that's set in the calendar consistently to say, how are we doing towards that clarity? How are we doing towards that goal? We can also just take a lot off your plate. We can handle a lot of stuff for you, and we're adding more and more to our program to try to do more and more of that. We're good at what we do, and we will always commit to serving you with excellence and results. Don't feel like that this is totally on your shoulders. We are here to help you get to this place of who you really want to be, what kind of business do you really want to have, and what do you want to make your life all about. I decided to make it count. When I decided to make it count, I got completely sober, and I'm in recovery now, totally sober. I'm healthy and active, more healthy and active than I've ever been. Part of the reason why I wanted to throw those pictures up there was to see, like, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't even recognize you, More healthy and active than I've ever been. I'm no longer ruled by emotion and reaction. I still have my moments, but I'm not dominated by this anymore. I know how to handle and manage the stress and tough situations and emotions better than I did before. We have the highest quality Redmond Growth team that we've ever had. Every single member on our team is just a rock star. They're just all can just knock stuff out, solve problems. They're all willing to help. They're all growing. They're all coachable. There's the best team we've ever had. I've restored relationships that used to be broken. I live inspired. I live happy. I live in internal peace. I'm also engaged. I'm soon to be married to my true love. Everything that was taken away from me was restored. You know, this is my family here this past holiday season, something that I thought I had destroyed, right? I was terrible to my family. This is my team, the best team that we've been ever to have. And this is my soon to be wife, Bonnie. The most important relationship that I had lost was restored in a way I could have never imagined, to someone that I tell her that she's the dream girl that I never even knew existed. You know, all this stuff can happen. Your life can be restored. You can be taken to that new level if you have the clarity, if you accept where you're at, get the clarity, commit to it, and take daily action and do the hard work. In 2024, I want you guys to make it count. So we're right at 10 o'clock. Guys, thank you so much for listening to me and for being here. I wish you guys the best year. Over the next few weeks, we're going to be covering more stuff to help you make it the best year ever. But thanks for hearing my story, and we'll see you at the top. Oh, you want me to do the 3, 2, 1? Okay, yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, every time. Okay, everyone unmute your mics. We're going to do something so corny, so cheesy, so annoying, but we're going to do it anyway. So I want everyone to mute your mics. The book is Man's Search for Meaning. The book is Man's Search for Meaning, okay? On the count of 3, okay, we're going to say growth, okay? 3, 2, 1, we're going to say growth after 1, okay? You ready? Oh, Roman, you bring a smile to my face. Everybody can see you, buddy. Okay, 3, 2, 1, grow! Oh, adults, love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Make it great. See you soon.